How's it going, everybody? TC once again. Something a little different here. Back years ago, well, before I show you that, what I've got here are some arrowheads that I found while we were dredging in Buchanan for gold. Uh, it's pretty amazing. These are some of them are still in good shape to be in the creek rolling around. This one's a quartz one with the tip broke off of it. Pretty cool looking arrowhead. This one, I believe, is also, it's a little misshapen, but I believe it's also an arrowhead. It looks like it's been worked. You can see the edges. It's still fairly sharp right here, too. This one, I don't know about this one. I just picked it up because it looked like an arrowhead. Probably not. This one, I believe, is definitely an arrowhead. It's in pretty good shape. And this one, which is really thick. Not sure why they had it, left it so thick, but that's a pretty cool one. But those were all found in Buchanan. Now this one is really interesting. This I found as a little kid. I was probably, between 10 and 12 years old maybe when I found this. And this was found on the beach down south in Naples when I was visiting my grandmother. Now it looks like it's broke. It may be broke, but I don't know. And it's also got a groove right here. But you can tell where this has been worked, hammered, or chipped. But this is really, I believe, old. Don't know where it came from. Uh, but it was on the Gulf Coast, so it could have come anywhere from, I guess, South America, Texas, Alabama, of course, Florida. But this was found right next to the Naples Pier. Oh, probably about 1978, 77 maybe. There's some of the cool looking arrowheads, minus this one that were found in Buchanan. A lot of the arrowheads in Buchanan is quartz because there's an abundance of quartz in Buchanan, no doubt about that. Now, get these out of the way, and we'll continue on with what the video is actually about. Back around that same time period, maybe a little earlier, 76, 77, we started going to Franklin, North Carolina to do some gem mining. It was basically a sapphire mine, but there was everything in that mine. There was there was even emeralds, there was rubies, there were just about everything you'll find in North Carolina was at that mine. It was primarily a sapphire mine, but it was uh, not used commercially anymore, and up to that time it had probably been a pay to dig site for, I don't know, 15, 20 years maybe when we started going in the late 70s. I couldn't find the picture that I was looking for of me and old Miss Mason, who owned the mine. She at the time was in her late 70s, I believe. But here's a couple of pictures anyway from one of the other times we went. This is the where the water from the river was flushed through this flume here. This is the original flume right here. This one was built later with the covered deal on it. But this was the original. When we started going, it was like that. Here's a better picture of the shaded flume. What you did was you went up. This is a better picture. Right across here, there's a little creek, and you go up this creek, up the little hill a little bit, and right over here was the mountain. At least some of it, and they were constantly gouging out some of that and flattening it out, and you could go up there and dig and fill your own buckets and bring it down with a little screen, a square classified screen like window screen. You watch all the rocks in the flume to get the clay and stuff off of it, and then you pick through and look for all the whatever gems you can find. So here are some of the sapphire. Well, let me first show you some of the other minerals that can be found there. Of course, you got quartz. Uh, Pretty good sized piece of amethyst. Purple, you can see it's purple. smoky quartz. There's another big old piece of smoky quartz I kept. This, I believe, is moonstone. That's what they call moonstone. Here's another one. It's almost like quartz, but it's real milky looking. That's why they call it moonstone, I guess. Here's another piece of quartz, smoky quartz. Now let's see what else is in the box here. Another piece of, let's see. This I'm not sure. I believe it's amethyst, but it could be a bigger piece of a sapphire because the sapphires are either pink or purple that come out of this mine. We'll see anything else in the box worth looking at. Okay, put them back. And we'll show you the sapphires and the other stones that are worth something. This, I believe, you can see it. It's kind of hard to see. It's actually pink color, red. This, I believe, is part of a big old ruby, is what that comes off of. Can't remember what this is. It could be what they call Indian rubies. I've got a jar full of those. They're pretty good size. But they're really tough to see through. You can, around the edges, if you get them wet, you can see through them. Not really sure what this stuff is. It's green. Okay, here's some garnets. A lot of what's in here is garnets, I believe. Yeah, I think most of these are garnets. That might be actually, this actually might be a piece of emerald. And these little tiny pink are rubies. There's a few of them in this little doodad here. They're all, the red ones, the pink ones are rubies. The rest are garnets, I believe. There might be one or two sapphires in here, but put these back. I'll show you some more. Now, what's in here are all sapphires. And these sapphires, if you see, some of them I haven't cleaned a lot of the matrix that they grow in, the silver here. But you can see they're cylindrical shaped. And I can't remember how many sides they have on them. I think they're octagon is what they are. And they're fairly long, some of them. Now what I'll do is get my pan here. Put some water in it, because the best way to see these is with water. In the water. When they're wet, you can actually see the color. Here's a good size. This is actually two that have grown together. Pretty neat. Let's see what else we got here. Here's a good one. This is a purplish colored one. Sapphire. It looks like the end of one that's broke off. Let's see. Here's a good size one. Still, and you can see the color of it is on the end here. But if I was to scrape all this off, it would look the same. That's a pretty good size one there. Now let's see. Here's a flat one where you can really see the color on it. They're a purplish pink color on them sapphires. Some are blue, not very many, but I have found some that were blue. Here's another flat one. You can see the color on it. Now, I've never had any of these checked out to see how well or how much gem quality these are, but some of them are pretty good. You could probably make decent rings out of a lot of these. Let's see if I can find a couple more that show the color. There's a little tiny one. Let's see. Yeah, that was got pretty good color on it. You can see the purple on that one. There's another one. This one's, I think we took the time to scrape a lot of the matrix off of this one. You can see the color in it a little bit better. That one's more purple looking on it. There's another flat one. Purple. And most of the rubies that we found in this mine were really small. I mean, they are pretty small. Let me get these out of here. Put them back in their container. And I'll show you some of the bigger ones. Let's see, which bag is that? Right here. These are all the biggest sapphires that we found in this bag. I'm just going to dump them all in the water. There's some good ones in here. This is what they call a green garnet. It's pretty cool the way that grows with the different. It's almost like one of the dice you use in one of the D&D games. There's another one. Green garnet. Green garnet. Now here's a good size sapphire where you can really see the color on it. It's like a pinkish purple. Now this one would probably make a good, if it was cut down, you could probably make a good ring out of that. This one was always interesting. I never messed with it because it's the only one I've ever seen that's two of them growing together like that. It's pretty cool. So I never separate. I didn't take a little chisel and bust them in half. I just left them growing together like that because it's kind of like a specimen. That one's pretty dark right there. That might actually be a bluish color. Now Miss Mason showed me one. Of course, she had the best she could find. And she kept it in her pocket. And it was one similar to this, except it was about the size of a quarter. And it was a little bit, it was about half this thickness. But it looked just like that. It was the purpley color. But it was the size of a quarter. Green garnet. This one's almost got all the matrix off of it. Got a little bit on it, not much. This is a good one. But these were all, like I say, you go up, you dig your own dirt. After they gouge it out of the side of the hill and flatten it out, you go in there and you dig wherever you want. And you put them in these little, you put the dirt in little, the old metal buckets. And you carry it down the little hill across the creek, which is maybe 5 foot across. It wasn't very big, maybe 8 foot across. And you take it to the flume. You screen it all out. And then you seed everything window size screen, and the smaller goes through, or stays, window size screen stays in there, and you peck through them all. And you pick out all the ones you know are gems. Now, a lot of people didn't know what they were looking for. I would show people, you know, because we go and we do this for like almost every day for 2 weeks when we go up there. And I would show a lot of the people who didn't know what they were looking for, what to look for. And even though I told them, they would still, after they were done screening, they'd turn around and dump, because you take your screen and you dump it over the side and bang it on the opposite side of wherever you're sitting. And there was little tailing piles, and I would just go through the tailing piles and sit there and pick these things out of there. Had a ball doing that. And I started doing that more than I did the digging because it was easier. Or after it rained, I'd go up the hill and look where the water had flowed down the hill to the creek. And any loose sapphires that was in that stuff, most of the dirt would go away from it, and they would be sitting on little, I call them little pillars of dirt, and you could just walk by and pick them up. They'd be sitting just like this, about a half inch off the ground. Well, at least all the little ones. The big ones like this, a lot of them would wash into the creek. But that's what I would do. Here's all the, okay, these are all garnets, okay. Now here's another bag of some bigger ones. And some that are pink. You can see the color in a lot of them. They're pretty pinkish purple color. But they're really small, most of them. But we used to have a ball doing that. I mean, it was fun, and I think it was like not even $5 a day. I think it was $5 a day per person to dig, and you could dig as much as you wanted all day long. Okay, let's see what's in this container. Oh, okay. These got some emerald in there. These are emeralds here. These are emerald, green, you can see. And some of this is the green garnet. But these here, like this, the real dark green is emerald, and so is these. The thinner it is, the more color it has to it. There's another one. Now, North Carolina is one of the few places, I can't remember what this is. It's a crystal of some kind, because you can see the way it's growing. It's all broke. Can't remember what that is. But most of the emeralds that you find in the United States are coming from North Carolina. There might be some out west, but I don't think so. I think the only two places in North and South America is in South America and in North Carolina that you can find actual emeralds. Now, I've seen years ago a story of a guy who was scouting out looking for emeralds, and he was going around different public lands and private lands. He was getting permission to check it out. Didn't tell what anybody was looking for, but he one day come upon a vein. He recognized the matrix that the sapphire or that the emeralds were growing in, and it was right on the surface. He arranged to buy the land from the owners, and then proceeded to dig them up. And he used a little backhoe, and you would go so far down within about 5 feet of them, and then you'd have to hand dig them from there. Because if you were not careful, you could break them real easily. And these things were huge. These emeralds, they were as big around as this bottle right here, and probably 8 to 10 inches long. On the documentary, he showed them picking out a couple of them, and he held one in his hand, and he said this is probably $100,000 emerald minimum. So it tells you the value of emeralds. They're not cheap. Now let's see what's in this baggie. Oh, here. Oh, okay. I forgot about these. Okay, these are actually the big sapphires. The ones I got here are the small ones. Okay, let me just dump them in. I can separate this later. Yeah, these are the good ones. These are probably worth something. Because, I mean, out of the size of these, you could probably get some pretty good sized stones out of them. But you can see, that's what they look like. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's real hard to pass up. You flip it over, you can see the color, because that's where it was broke. But that's a heavy stone right there. There's some more. And you can see it just looks like a rock until you see that. Same with all these. That one's showing a little color on the side. But every one of these are also sapphires. After a while doing this, you can get to recognize, especially in the sun, you can see the colors in this. And when you're out in the broad daylight with the sun hitting, and these are wet, any little area that would show color, you could see it. when you screen it. But yeah, that's probably the best one right here, I imagine. That's a really pretty one. Of course, these aren't sapphires like people think of the star sapphire. Okay, these are just regular sapphires. They're not like what they have in India. But they're still just as pretty to me. There's a good one. It's pink. Now see, all of these, it's like this one here. This piece is was probably this long. I imagine it's at least 3-4 inches long, or it was before it got broke. And I'm sure a lot of these were broke when they were gouged out of the side of the mountain and then the material laid flat so you could dig it, which is unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. Now, what else we got here? Let's see what these are. I can't recall. Oh, these are some rubies in here. A few rubies. A couple pieces of sapphire. Most of the rubies I found there were really small. The only ones that weren't were called Indian rubies. I've got them somewhere around here. They were big like this. Or not, Indian ruby. Or Indian rubies. They were about the size of these. But they were really big. And really dark. You had to really scrutinize them to see that they were actually not just a rock. Here's another couple little pieces of sapphire. This, I think, is tourmaline, but I'm not sure. It's kind of green looking. These are actually some of the ones that we scraped to get the color out. That's why I've got them in this little display magnifier. I got all these little containers and stuff to put these in from the first few times we were going. We actually stayed in a hotel in Franklin, and the hotel we stayed in had a little gem shop, which is pretty interesting. And I went in there and showed the guy these things, and the ones I didn't know what they were, he told me what they were, like the moonstone and the Indian rubies and whatever. Here's some more garnets. I mean, some rubies. And here's a bunch more of the green garnets. A piece of emerald in there too, I think. A couple of pieces. Okay. And this one this is interesting. It's white with a little streak of blue in it. It's hard to see it here because it's not wet. But that little piece there is, I believe, tourmaline. The guy told me. And these are more sapphires in there. The more pinkish colored ones. Some more moonstone. Another big old piece of it. It's not milky quartz. A lot of people mistake that for milky quartz, but it's not that. This, you can see, this is a smoky quartz, where some of it was broke, but it does have one end that's still showing the flat sides around and the point. It's pretty cool. Let's see, I think that's just about it. Got another bag here, see what's in this one. It's got a medicine. Oh, okay, this is the lead that I found in the creek. Lead bullets and stuff. This I'm not sure of. I believe this is flint. It's not obsidian, but it's black flint. It's really interesting. It's the only one I've ever found. So that's fairly rare. I think the Indians, the Cherokees, traded to get flint because it's not really... Oh, here's another Indian head, Arrowhead. That's pretty cool. It's a little tiny one. This one's made out of flint, I believe. Now this one was actually found here in Orlando. When I was a little kid, I found that in a field at my uncle's house. So that tells me, because we don't have this in Florida. So this was traded from up north to the Seminoles. It's pretty interesting. But I found that here in this state. I think that's it for arrowheads. Yep. And other than this other bag, that's what I've got for sapphires. Enough to keep somebody cutting jewelry and cutting them out to make rings for a long time. You could cut a bunch of these, polish them, and put 2 or 3 on one ring. That's a pretty one right there. It's probably, yeah, it's pink. Some are blue, but most of them are pink. They have a pinkish tone to them. That one's pretty much purple right there. Anyway, that's a little story of my other hobby besides messing with gold. Hope y'all enjoyed that, and leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Later.